Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are enjoying your Sunday, and I hope that this video finds you well wherever you are. The former president Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday held a very urgent meeting with the current president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. While it is very normal for heads of states, the former and current leaders to meet, the meeting between Uhuru Kenyatta and Yoweri Museveni has really attracted a lot of speculations and jitters, especially in the Kenyan soil. Because this meeting is coming against the backdrop of very many things. One of them, there has been a leaked report, a statement, that Uhuru Kenyatta and the entire family could be on their way to the United Kingdom for a long sabbatical leave, a long holiday. And this meeting, many feel, was informed by the persecution that is coming from the current government. Because every now and then we see the current administration trying to frustrate Uhuru family. They have decided not even to spare the 90-year-old Mama Ngina, sometimes removing his security, sometimes being accused of not paying taxes, and then the latest was Uhuru's son being accused of being in possession of some illegal guns that they said were being hired or given out to people during the demonstration. So Uhuru Kenyatta is seen to be going away. I think as we speak, he's not in the country. In Twitter handle, Uhuru revealed this, and this is what was said. Former head of state and facilitator of the East African Community-led Nairobi peace process, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, earlier today paid a courtesy call on President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda at State House Entebbe. Besides the security situation in the East Africa Community region, the two leaders deliberated on the ongoing peace process geared towards the realization of a lasting peace and stability in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Also present at the meeting were Honorable John Mulimba, Uganda's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs in charge of regional affairs, and Ambassador Macharia Kamau and Brigadier retired Elijah Mwanyika. So in his usual style, Uhuru still maintains their relationship with the former Ambassador Macharia. So they met, and it is like Uhuru sojourned in Uganda briefly before he jetted out of Africa to the United Kingdom. Now people feel that there is more than meet the eye, because this is not a normal meeting, and I will tell you why. This meeting must have deliberated on the businesses that belongs to Uhuru. Recently, the Kenyan government banned the importation or the exportation from Uganda of a powdered milk processing company that is associated with Uhuru Kenyatta. And both Brookside and Tuzo in Uganda felt an economic blow courtesy of the ban from the Kenyan government. And as a result, they retrenched many people. They have suffered losses in Uganda. This is happening when the current government is accusing Uhuru Kenyatta to being the chief facilitator and financier of the just recent demonstrations when people are on the streets to protest the high cost of living. They are saying that it's Uhuru Kenyatta who is financing this protest. And I'm wondering, I have seen people from Pale Vitongoji Duni who simply go there because they are tired of the high taxes. So I have a feeling that Uhuru must have sat down with Yoweri Museveni and explained to him that the ban is as a result of ill motive from this government, because every African nation today is suffering from the high unemployment rate. And when you shut down Uhuru's company because you are playing dirty politics, the Ugandan side suffers, because when people are retrenched, Museveni feels the heat. Every president would want to embrace investors. Every president would want people to get employment. So when you deal with investors because Uhuru is now an investor in Uganda, when his company is being tampered with, he is an investor, and I think he must have explained to Yoweri Museveni to see the deeper meaning, because he is suffering when his people lack employment. So they must have discussed, among many other things, his businesses, because when Uhuru was in power, they had signed a cordial deal where Uganda was importing, I think, some eggs, and Uhuru was exporting milk, and that's how they reached on a decision to open a milk processing company in Uganda. The other thing that must have been discussed here is the idea of a possible arm aiding. Uganda has been accused of aiding President Ruto, arming him with firearms to harm the supporters of Raila Amolo Odinga. I saw you also that video that was going around of at the border, a trailer from Uganda was stopped because the process of clearance really raised a lot of suspicion, because even the owners and the driver did not want to come clean on what they were carrying, and it was suspected. The immigration department there were complaining that they suspected that trailer was carrying some guns and firearms that were to be used to kill Azimio supporters. So this must have been discussed, because the relationship between now Raila Amolo Odinga and the Azimio and their Ugandan counterparts is really worse, courtesy of those speculations. You all know that even today, very many Luos are suffering in Migingo because Yoweri Museveni has unleashed terror there, and the government cannot do anything, and you know the reasons why. So they must have discussed the security. When they discuss this, you all know that these demonstrations, the impact also rippled even into Z and Uganda. When people demonstrate, trailers line because roads are impassable, and this is really causing a lot of economic effect even to the Ugandan counterparts. In some areas, I saw in Namango we had the same problem. In Malabo we had the same problems. When now trailers cannot go to Uganda, they cannot come to Kenya because of the demonstration. They must have shared this. Number two, even if some of our neighbors were over the moon with joy. So Samia Suluhu said that there was a lot of upsurge of investors who are running away from Kenya. So the security situation must have informed, and I think Uhuru Kenyatta must have lamented that the Kenyan population, those who are supporting Azimio, are not very happy because of the speculations that are going on. He couldn't have left that room without telling him what is happening, and maybe Museveni must have cleared the air that maybe I'm not part and parcel of what is happening. The security situation both in Congo and East Africa must have been discussed. You have seen in West Africa there is an upsurge of successful coups that are happening in Niger, in Burkina Faso, and all that. Within the last 4 years, there have been at least 5 successful coup d'etats, and this is worrying East Africa. William Ruto is actually trembling from the body language and the tone of language that he's giving. He's really worried, and this is worrying most of these African countries, because they believe that it is contagious. When the coup d'etats begin, military begin to organize themselves because they feel this is the only way to emancipate themselves. And this must have also formed part of the discussions how to avert these coups from spreading all over. So Uhuru must have briefed Museveni of what is going in Congo, of what is going in East Africa. They must have been so much worried. Because Uhuru is traveling, maybe he was giving Museveni a chance to make sure that he also helps in being on the lookout of what is happening in East Africa, being on the lookout of what is happening in Congo, in Uganda, in Kenya, and he must have told him that if we allow the spread of violence in Kenya, it might also affect him in some ways. We are looking at a possible meeting and talks, a dialogue that is about to be spearheaded by Obasanjo. And Uhuru must have told Museveni to try and talk to his friend Ruto to accept talks so that people don't continue suffering, people don't block roads. You remember there was a time Museveni said, "Our Wajaluo wanapenda kong'oa reli." So the security must have formed part of these discussions. But the one thing that is worrying the Kenya Kwanza team is the fear of the unknown. If there is something that has always been a vicious fear, is the fear of the unknown. What did they discuss? And where is he going and why is he going out? Uhuru ni bwenyenye. When you leave a person who is an immediate former president, a man who is wealthy, to go out and people feel that he's going out because you have really unleashed terror on him, you know, it dents your image as a person who is full of revenge. Because the history of our Kenyan politics is that our presidents don't revenge against their predecessors. And so they are wondering, what is Uhuru's next move? If they accused him, for example, of funding the demonstrations, now he is away. He can as well fund them while he's away, and they will not have access to his family. And so this meeting, ladies and gentlemen, please tell me, what any other thing do you think they talked about? And do you think it is something that should worry the Kenyan president?